All right. Well, fresh off his victory in the killing of Osama bin Laden, President Obama is now shifting gears to focus on a problem that hits a little bit closer to home, fixing America's broken immigration system. Now, Obama decided to head to the border city of El Paso, Texas today, where he touted his successes in cracking down on illegal immigration. And he called for reforms that would help put some of the nation's 11 million undocumented workers on a pathway to citizenship. But keep in mind, candidate Obama's promise to fix the immigration issue helped him get nearly 70% of the Hispanic vote when he ran for office. But his attempt to pass an immigration bill last year died in the Senate, and there's absolutely no chance whatsoever that a new immigration bill could even pass the bitterly divided Congress. So is all of this about politics? And is Obama's effort simply too little too late? And more importantly, how will the Latino voters respond to what seems to be a broken promise when they go to the polling booth in 2012? Well, for the answer, let's check in with someone who has his hand on the pulse of the folks that Obama's trying to win over. Ron Gochez is a social justice educator, community organizer, and he joins us now live from Los Angeles. Ron, it's great to have you back. What'd you make of President Obama's speech?
Well, like always, just like the campaign, we hear a lot of promises, but we're not getting our actions. You know, he promised that he will stop deportations. He promised immigration reform. He's promised a lot of things that we simply have not gotten action. So our community is tired of promises. You know, like you said, 70% of the community voted for President Obama. So I think that we definitely deserve something in return, and not the more deportations and the record number of deportations that we've gotten. So I hope that this is something that he will take seriously now that he wants our vote again for this upcoming election.
But again, if there's no political will or realistic ability of lawmakers in Congress to actually move the immigration issue through, the Latino community, Hispanic community has been waiting 2 years. Is all of this just Obama putting on his 2012 campaign hat and trying to make some nice statements so that folks like yourself don't forget about him and go and vote?
Absolutely. You know, and I want to let you know I'm not here to represent either the Republicans or the Democrats. I just think that it's something that the community is tired of it. You know, I think if election time is coming around, he needs a vote. He knows that in places like Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, you know, if it wasn't for the Latino vote, he wouldn't have won those states. So we know that this is a political theater, that they need our vote, and without the Latino vote, they really cannot get reelected. So the community is sending a very clear message this year, and that is, you know, legalization or no reelection.
But if no reelection, then what does the stereotypical Hispanic voter do? I mean, you don't go for the alternative. Well, will you go for the alternative in the Republican Party? Let me ask you that first.
Absolutely not. But what we know is that the Republican Party does not represent our interests. But we see that the Democratic Party under President Obama has deported more people than any other president in the history of the United States. Therefore, what is our alternative? Our alternative is to organize ourselves locally. Although we cannot launch a candidate for president, we can at the local level organize ourselves and vote for people who do represent us. So, you know, if it means that we won't vote at all for president, then so be it. Because at this point, neither the Republicans nor the Democrats have come to our side, and all we experience from both sides is more raids and more deportations.
Which does sound like a great opening for some sort of third-party candidate to come along, especially given the growing numbers of Latino voters. Well, let's talk about the Obama, I guess, broken promises on this. He did try to pass the DREAM Act. It stalled in the Senate. He did, to his credit, for better or worse, invite many Spanish-speaking broadcasters and celebrities to the White House over the past few weeks, including Eva Longoria. Is that going to be enough to hang out with some famous celebrities who may or may not be able to say a few words in Spanish and somehow win voters that way?
Absolutely not. That's not what our community is asking for. That's not what we need. What we need are actions. And although it is difficult, and we understand that it's a long process for immigration reform, we do know that under the executive order, he has a power at the snap of a finger to stop deportations, to stop the ICE raids. That he can do. So what we're asking is either they stop the ICE raids now before this election, or please do not come into our communities asking for our vote, because we're organizing, and we're not going to tell people to go vote for you or any other candidate who does not come through on his promises of immigration reform.
Well, that's true. He does have some options under executive order, as you mentioned. What do you think it is that's preventing Obama from acting in that route?
You know, we don't have anything against President Obama as a person.
No. I think, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I think you misunderstood me. Why do you think President Obama would not use his executive order powers to move this issue along? What's preventing him from doing that?
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't think it's him personally that doesn't want to do it. I think there's powers behind him that won't allow him to do it. So what we're saying is, you know, today on Mother's Day in Latin America, we're sending the message. If President Obama does this, maybe Michelle Obama can help us. Stop separating our families. It's something that he can do, and if he doesn't do it, then we have no reason to re-elect him in this coming election.
But that's, I don't know, that sounds, and I don't want to be offensive, but almost a little bit naive. Do you really think that it's not, are you basically saying that the president doesn't have any power to move an issue along then, that it's some sort of powers that be that are against it?
I would definitely say that there's powers that be that are behind him, the folks that fund his campaign that perhaps don't have our community in mind. So we're making the call for President Obama. He has the power. He can do it. He promised it many, many times, and he promised it again today. So we're tired of promises. We want actions. And if he has the power to do it, we expect him to do it.
All right. Well, if history is of any indication, I don't know if that's going to be an optimistic way that the situation is going to play out. But thank you, as always, for your time and your opinions. Ron Gochez joining us from Los Angeles.